Welcome to the Essentra Health podcast series. I'm your host, Yeji Lee. In this series, we bring you helpful information to support your well-being and to overcome the many challenges that life can bring. Our aim always is to bring you information or actions to support your well-being that can be accessible to everybody. Our topic today is on work-life balance, an issue that impacts many aspects of our lives. Our guest today is Norman Weiniger, Vice President of Clinical Services here at Essentra Health and licensed mental health practitioner with many years of experience working in the mental health field.
Thank you, Yeji. I'm excited to be talking about this topic today.
Thank you for being here, Norman. To start off, can you talk a little bit about what it means to have a good work-life balance and how someone can know if they have a healthy work-life balance?
Sure can, Yeji. Let's start by discussing what a work-life balance means. In this context, work-life balance usually is defined as an equilibrium between your occupational life and your personal life, meaning when you have things balanced, no single element of your life dominates and overwhelms the others. However, this can look different for different people because the balance, Yeji, is all about an individual's perception. It's a feeling. It's something you feel when your work and non-work activities are in harmony, when they're compatible with your current goals and priorities, knowing that that may change over the course of time. It means having a good work-life balance. It means that one is effectively managing our time, which all of us only have a certain amount of, and our energy so that the work and personal life complement each other rather than compete with each other. Now, I think for many people, we're not saying that the balance has to be a 50-50 split between our personal lives and our occupational lives, but more so that we're looking for a balance that works for each of us as individuals in our occupational and personal responsibilities. And as I said earlier, I think that aspect can shift during the different seasons of our adult life. For some people, I think it means strictly separating work and personal time. For others, it can be about integrating the two in such a way that feels natural to them and feels sustainable to them. The important part is that person doesn't feel like one area of their life is draining and depleting the other. That would be the definition of work-life imbalance. So in thinking about that, I would stress that self-awareness is important. When you're thinking about your personal work-life balance, consider these kind of questions. Do you have enough time for your personal interests and hobbies? Are you able to stay productive at work without overworking or sacrificing sleep or personal time? Are your relationships in good shape and are not being negatively affected by your occupational life? Are you managing your stress? We all confront stressful situations every day. How are we managing that is what's important. Are we watching out for signs of burnout? So if you're feeling constantly overwhelmed, struggling to find personal time, or noticing maybe that work dominates your thoughts even when you're off work or off duty, then perhaps your balance might be off, Yeji.
Thanks, Norman. I think those are all good questions that, everyone should regularly be kind of thinking about or asking themselves and reflecting back on. But moving on, what are some of the risks or consequences associated with having an unhealthy or, I guess, an unbalanced work-life balance?
Yeah, I think work life imbalance risks affecting different dimensions of our life. For example, think about physical health issues. We know that chronic stress, lack of time spent exercising, things like that can increase our risks of heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, all of those kinds of things can weaken our immune system. We know that kind of chronic sleep issues can have detrimental effects on our health, our physical health. There are also mental health issues. I mentioned burnout, which I think work-life imbalance can lead to that, decreasing our motivation, with us feeling exhausted. It can lead to feelings of anxiety and depression, especially when we feel the work related stress becomes overwhelming, or when when stress in our personal lives becomes overwhelming. It can, at work, speaking of occupational impacts, it can result in decline of productivity and job performance, lead to poor focus, making more mistakes, reducing our inherent creativity. It can cause us to make poor decisions. In our personal life, it can lead to strained personal relationships because we're not spending the quality time with our loved ones who might feel lonely and disconnected from us in the worst cases, or that we are not emotionally available to our loved ones. And I guess fundamentally, it can get down to lack of personal growth and happiness. We don't have time for things that we enjoy. We feel frustrated with both our personal and our occupational life, leading to overall lower life satisfaction. All of those are not good things, and are all potential negative consequences from having work-life imbalance. Yeji.
Thanks, Norman. Those are a lot of good points you brought up regarding the negative consequences of work-life imbalance. So, how can one improve their work-life balance, or kind of manage work-life balance to better their well-being?
Yes, great question. I think there's no one formula that works for everybody. Referencing back to kind of the individual nature of how we experience this topic, how we approach it and think about it. There are a few things I would mention that I think are pretty good advice and guidance in most situations. And the first one is to set boundaries between work and personal life, define what your work hours are, try to stick to that schedule, try to think about how you're integrating work into your personal life if you're um, kind of going down that path, as a lot of us have to at times. A second thing is looking to prioritize your task. Um, think about how you're multitasking. Sometimes that actually reduces your efficiency, leads to mistakes. Think about a technique of time blocking, setting specific time slots for different tasks and sticking to them, whether occupational or in your personal life. Um, Another big one is, of course, making time for yourself and your loved ones. Time's your most valuable asset. How do you spend it with the people that you love? How do you make yourself emotionally available to them, and living in that present moment with them when you're spending time? Do you take your vacation days? Do you schedule those appropriately, and make the most of those? Your employer provides those to you for that purpose and to help further work-life balance. And just generally, are you making sure that your family and life with your friends is a priority in your life, as well as work or other areas? We've talked some about managing workload, Yeji, recognizing your limits, asking for help when it's needed, having good communication with your supervisor and managers. Um, and I guess finally, back to self-awareness, is reflecting on this and adjusting regularly, making the time to do that, kind of checking in with yourself. How am I feeling? Am I feeling constantly stressed or overwhelmed? Let's take the time out and think further about that and see what we need to do. So I guess I would say, Yeji, that work-life balance isn't about working less. It's about being smart. It's about being self-aware. It's about making space for our personal well-being. Sometimes it's learning that small changes, like setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care, all that can lead to a healthier, happier, and more fulfilling life. And I would kind of conclude, Yegi, by saying that if anyone who's listening happens to be struggling with work-life balance, or if they just want to discuss this issue further, then speaking with your employee assistance program would be a great starting place in the pursuit of greater work-life balance.
Thank you so much, Norman. This great information, and I hope everybody learned a lot about work-life balance today. Um, I think work-life balance is something that everyone should strive to achieve in a way that provides good well-being and happiness in all facets of their life. And with that, we conclude today's podcast. On behalf of everyone here at Essentia Health, thank you for listening.